America's #1 hope for the gold medal in skeleton in the upcoming Olympics seriously injured today in an accident in Calgary.
Orem's Noelle Picus-Pace was hit by a bobsled. Tom Kirkland is following the story and joins us now.
He says, all I heard was that her leg was totally crushed.
Noelle's father gets word about an accident.
She'd been hit by a bobsled.
Noelle was the only one that suffered a massive injury.
You're watching the KSL 5 Eyewitness News at 5.
A lot of hard work made Orem's Noelle Picus-Pace America's #1 hope for the gold medal in skeleton in the upcoming Winter Olympics in Torino. But a bizarre accident in Calgary today crushed one of her powerful legs and her hopes of Olympic glory.
Tom Kirkland has been following the story this afternoon and joins us now with more.
Yeah, really troubling, really sad. The incredible irony here is that the pride and joy of Orem and Utah Valley State College, Noelle Picus-Pace, first broke into winter sports as a bobsledder, but tonight a runaway bobsled has severely injured America's gold medal hopeful in the women's skeleton. The first American woman to ever win the overall World Cup in skeleton had just finished up a practice run at the Calgary Olympic Park, standing with two other sliders, when an American four-man bobsled with a rookie brakeman and rookie driver aboard blew past that stop area and right into Picus-Pace at about 60 miles an hour, crushing her lower left leg. Obviously, her dream for the Olympic gold coming up in Torino is over. We caught up with her mother and husband just before they flew to Calgary late this afternoon. Just sorry to hear about that. Just could you tell us what you know?
That's all I know is there's an accident and she's out for the season, sounds like. So there's not much we can do about it. We're just going to go up and support her and be with her. So
have you talked to her?
I did talk to her for.
How's she doing?
Well, when I talked to her, it was right after, so it wasn't hard to tell from there. So
that's very difficult with Torino right around the corner, especially, huh?
Very difficult.
We'll have much more on this tragedy coming up on Eyewitness News at 6, and it's particularly tough when you realize the Winter Olympics just 114 days away. On a sunny, blustery day in February of 2005, there was plenty at stake for the then 22-year-old Noelle Picus-Pace. The Olympic Winter Games were exactly 12 months away, and she was competing in the final race of the 2004-2005 World Cup season in Lake Placid, New York. This day would either be the culmination of a remarkable breakthrough season for Noelle, or it could be riddled with disappointment. She came into the race the overall World Cup leader, needing just a top 4 finish to accomplish what no other American woman had ever done: win the skeleton overall World Cup title. When the season began 4 months earlier in Winterberg, Germany, Noelle shocked the tour with her first ever gold medal. She had never finished higher than 9th in her 2 previous years in competition. Throughout the season, she would prove Winterberg was no fluke. She won 4 medals heading into the Lake Placid event, where she took 3rd behind her main rival Maja Pedersen of Switzerland, and that locked up the World Cup title. 1 week later, Noelle would take silver at the World Championships in Calgary, further solidifying her status as the gold medal favorite in the 2006
champion
Olympics.
And a race champion here in Lake Placid. The 3rd place finish here, Noelle Picus-Pace, but more importantly, the World Cup title, more than you could have imagined.
It's awesome. It's a great feeling. I was a little nervous after my first run. Didn't know if I could pull it together. It was rough at the top of the track, and curve 12 felt a little bit of air coming off. But my second run, I pulled it together, and I'm really happy with that. I'm stoked. I'm the world leader. Woo!
And you should be. And the World
Cup.
maybe it was a year or so ago that you couldn't even imagine Olympics 2 years ago. So what is your mindset now? What are your goals now?
It's definitely there now, but I still don't want to. I mean, that's definitely the ultimate goal, but I just want to take it a step at a time. So I'm not going to just look at the Olympics during every race. I'm looking here in Lake Placid, then I'll look at Canada for your World Championships. So every race, just take it step by step and then just move on.
October 19th was like any other fall day in Calgary. The air was crisp and the days shorter, hinting at the long winter that was descending on the 1988 host city for the Olympic Winter Games. The U.S. national bobsled and skeleton teams were in town competing in Part 2 of the national team trials. With the 2005-2006 World Cup season starting in Calgary, the U.S. teams wanted time on the track at Canada Olympic Park, considered one of the world's best. National team trials for skeleton consisted of 4 heats for each slider, 2 in Lake Placid and 2 in Calgary. The top 4 finishers in total time would be named to the World Cup team. Following a training run, the women's team was assembled on the outrun of the track, an area well beyond the finish line designed to slow sleds that are running at speeds more than 70 miles per hour. Waiting here was normal protocol, as it was the pickup point for transport back to the top of the track.
We had all gone through and had our first runs. Everything had gone very well, and the men's bobsled team had done their second run, and we had already started to work our way into the women's skeleton group, and 5 of us had already gone down the track. And we were at a point in the track that's at the very end of the track. It's a little wooden platform where the skeleton athletes wait for the transport truck to take us back to the top.
We were told a bobsled was going to jump in the middle of our session, that their brakeman had just barely got from the airport, and that they wanted to get a run in, and that they wanted to get them down as soon as they could. And we thought, okay, that's kind of weird. It's not that, a little out of the usual. And I was a little upset with it, but, just didn't really think too much of it. And we saw the crew, and they were all getting ready, and just looked like they were a little scared, it was a bunch of their first times down the track. And they got in the sled, and they were all sitting there, and I looked at them when they went by on the start, and their faces were white, like they were definitely scared to go down that track. I thought to myself, they're going to crash.
At the time, I heard kind of a loud noise in the turn behind us. And I made a joke about how loud Lindsay Peterson was on her sled, because she was supposed to be the next slider coming down. But a few seconds after that, I kind of, said, that's not a skeleton sled. That sounds like a bobsled to me. And Tristan kind of jumped up at that point and said, well, come to think of it, they said they might put a bobsled in our session. And at that point, I jumped up and looked down the track, and they were already coming through the finish area.
We're waiting there for it to go down, and this clock finishes, and all of a sudden they say, hold on track. And we're like, oh, sure enough, they crashed, but they got a finish time. So we were thinking, well, what could they have, maybe they crashed on the finish curve and, somehow ended up on the outrun, so we were still no worries, just waiting, and pretty soon it was a long hold, and we were thinking, well, I hope everything's all right.
Something just told me that it was too quiet. I wasn't hearing any brakes on the ice, which is a normal sound when the bobsleds are in the finish area. And because it was so quiet, I turned and looked over my shoulder, and they were less than 10, 15 feet behind us, going 50, 55 miles an hour.
Nobody expects a bobsled to come, burning through the crowd.
And at that point, I just yelled bail, and everybody started jumping in any direction that they could find. And unfortunately for the people that were on the left side, which Noelle was on the left side of the platform, there's a staircase there that we used to get up into the transport truck. So she was unable to bail off the platform. She had to run off the end of it, which meant she had to take just a couple more steps. And that extra step, she didn't have time for. And the bobsled came through and clipped her right foot.
Brady Canfield was in Curve 8 watching, and we saw him running up to the track to where we were, because he had parked up there. And he was all really flustered, and he said, there's been an accident, I was like, okay. Tim and I were both like, the bobsled crash, that's not abnormal by any means. It crashed out of finish. The guys are probably okay. And then immediately after that, I think Tuffy Latour, Frank, were on the radio saying, Greg, Tim, it's been a really bad accident. You got to get to the finish.
One of our teammates, Brady, came running up to the top of the track and kind of whispered into one of my teammates' ears, and her face went just stone cold. And I was like, "What's wrong?" And she goes, "There was an accident." And we were like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "Well, the bobsled didn't break. It went off the outrun and hit all of our girls." That's what they said at first, which, you know, of course, I started thinking the worst. And there's sleds and bodies everywhere. The ambulance is on its way. And everyone in the start room just went quiet, and we kind of looked at each other and didn't know quite what to think. And all I could think was getting down there to see what was wrong. So I hurried through on some clothes as fast as I could and grabbed my keys. I wasn't thinking about anything else. I was actually kind of in panic mode. And we rushed. I got in the car and just sped down, almost killed myself on the way down on the curvy road. But got down here, ran up to the scene, and didn't know quite what to think at first. It was, sure enough, there was bodies everywhere. The ambulance was there.
This animation is based on eyewitness accounts of the accident. When Leanne first looked down the track, the bobsled was about here, near the finish area. Under normal circumstances, bobsleds stop here at the finish dock and the crew exits. In this case, the bobsled blew past the finish dock at an estimated 60 miles per hour. When the athletes realized the speeding bobsled was nearly on top of them, they scrambled. It's total panic, everybody looking for a way out. At the end of the track, athletes were positioned on the left side. Noelle and her sled were here. Leanne and her sled were here, and Courtney Yamada's sled was here. On the right side, Katie Eulander and her sled were here. Tristan Gale and her sled here, and Courtney Yamada here. The wooden platform was positioned immediately behind Noelle and Leanne. Katie Eulander and Tristan Gale both grabbed their sleds and jumped over the right side. Courtney Yamada ran across the track, grabbed her sled, turned around, and ran out of the track. Leanne grabbed her sled and took off across the track and jumped. She was clipped by the bobsled. Noelle grabbed her sled but quickly dropped it. Knowing she had to run past the wooden platform before she could bail, she jumped over her sled, ran toward the end of the track, and was hit by the bobsled, which was rubbing the left wall of the track in an effort to slow down. The impact threw Noelle over the track wall and onto the pavement.
So I went over to Noelle. Leanne, bless her heart, was right on the scene. She was actually laying over Noelle, kind of shielding her from her leg, so she couldn't get a good view. And Nick Metzges, the USOC trainer, was right there on the ground, kneeling down, and they had everything pretty much covered. I kind of walked around. Noelle and Leanne were really, really tight, face to face. I think, Leanne wanted to keep her right on her the whole time. Walked around, could tell for the most part that it was a broken leg, compound fracture.
The carnage was widespread and devastating. The bobsled, piloted by a rookie driver with a rookie crew, flew off the end of the track. A handful of other athletes received minor injuries, but nothing on the scale of Noelle's double compound fracture. Both her fibula and tibia were snapped in two and pushing through her skin. The pain was raw, and it got worse when she was being loaded onto the ambulance, her leg seemingly coming apart from the rest of her body. In the midst of the pain and fear, she managed to talk to her husband, who said he was on his way. The morphine drip soon created a fog which clouded her memory. She remembers little of the ride to the hospital, only waking on a gurney in a hospital corridor, seeing white walls sterilized by fluorescent light.
My phone rings and it says Tim Nardiello, which is her coach, and I'm thinking, why is he calling me? And I'm right as I'm hitting answer, I'm like, hope nothing's wrong. And then I'm like, hey Tim, how's it going? He's like, good. Well, we kind of have a problem. He's like, there's been an accident, and Noelle's been hit by a bobsled. And he kind of told the story, but when he said there was an accident, I was just like, I couldn't think I wasn't listening to a story really. I was just like waiting for him to get to tell me what was wrong. And kind of went through a little spill of what happened and said that she'd been hit by a bobsled and that her leg was broken. And you know, he told me, she doesn't know this yet, but you know, she's done.
In a matter of hours, Noelle was in surgery, where doctors placed a titanium rod in her leg to provide support. Jansen and her mom, Pat, were on a plane to Calgary, undoubtedly searching for the right words to comfort a loved one whose dreams seemingly evaporated on an icy track in the most freakish of circumstances that were decidedly out of her control.
Say goodbye, head out on your own.
That looks exactly.
You won't change a thing at all.
Wow.
Make a wish that you'll never be alone. But it won't change a thing at all.
So, would you like to open the video up with anything?
Welcome to Tour 2005-2006.
The moment of truth for Noelle came in the Calgary hospital. What was a bright future filled with network appearances, sponsorships, and possibly another World Cup title and an Olympic gold medal was no longer as clear. Noelle was unsure about the long-term damage to her athletic career. She uses her right leg to push off the start block. Noelle knew things could be worse, but they could also be a whole lot better. During a sob session in her hospital room, Noelle's surgeon came in and asked her what her problem was. Unmoved, with Noelle's down-on-her-luck why me tale, the surgeon cut to the chase, telling her to get over it and get back in the game. Nothing like the frigid bedside manner of a Canadian doctor to slap some sense into you. But the brief lecture worked. Noelle didn't take long to decide that she wasn't giving up on her dreams just yet.
It's definitely going to be hard, but with the support that I have, it makes it so much easier. It takes my burdens away, and just seeing the faith that other people have in me, that my family has in me, and that people that I don't even know, I get emails from people from like Germany and from all over Europe and from all around the US, and getting those letters and the support from these people and their stories on how, you know, things like this have happened to them and they've come back, and it's just given me, it's been inspirational to me, and it's made me think, you know, I see one of my neighbors has MS, and he's just had the most positive attitude about it, and seeing people like that, it makes me feel like, you know, I can do this. This is what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna do this, and I know it's gonna be hard, and I know I'm gonna have hard days, but other people have hard days too, and they make it through, so why can't I? And so I just have to pick it up and just run with it. I was always running around building forts, building rafts, wanting to build a go-kart, just trying to come up with inventions or doing crazy things like jumping off the roof with an umbrella and it would flip inside out or something. So never liked kissing tag, just kind of a jock.
Growing up in the town of Orem, Utah, about 30 miles south of Salt Lake City, there was plenty to keep an energetic, adventurous kid busy. Noelle Pikus was just that kid. A daredevil of sorts, making the most of opportunities as they came along. Sports was clearly her thing, excelling in basketball, softball, and track and field. Her size and strength, 5'10" and 155 pounds, coupled with her natural athleticism, led to a scholarship offer from the University of Utah for track and field. Following her freshman year there, Noelle became engaged to Jansen Pace and transferred to Utah Valley State College in Orem. Noelle's rise to stardom on the Skeleton Tour, coupled with her All-American performances each spring for the Wolverines, was welcome news for Utah Valley State, which reaped the benefits of Noelle's success. Skeleton is the world's oldest sliding sport, dating back to the late 1800s. Laying head first on a specially designed sled, athletes reach speeds of nearly 80 miles per hour, pulling 4 Gs with their chins just an inch off the ice. With roots in St. Switzerland, Skeleton made its debut in the 1928 Olympics, reappeared in 1948, and made a smashing reemergence in 2002 at the Salt Lake Games, where hordes of spectators lined up to see the home team dominate. Noelle's rise to the top of the sport was rapid, yet her first season was hardly memorable. She spent just half the year on the World Cup Tour, learning the ropes while also figuring out the many intricacies of the world's bob tracks. Each track is different and can require different talents from the pilots. Some tracks require great push starts, while others, like Torino's Olympic track, are well suited for drivers. Noelle's discovered she's one of the most talented drivers. In 2003-2004, she spent the entire season on the World Cup Tour, yet still didn't prove she was among the best. Her top finish was 9th. Then, indescribably, it all clicked in 2004-2005, and Noelle rocked the competition.
Sure? Yeah. All right. Everybody tells me there's going to be hard and easy days, you know, which there have been already up to this point, but every day I've been getting better and stronger, so that's what the doctors and physical therapists are looking for, and that's what our goal is right now, is just to continually get, you know, better and stronger. It's just really tight because, like, there's still swelling right in here, like it's still bruised and everything, so when I try and go down, it won't go any farther than that. Like this one can come down to here, you know, down to there, and this one just won't go any farther because it's so tight in here. And my ankle is really annoying. And also in my knee, there's still some swelling in here. And what we were talking about is they had to open up my knee to put the titanium rod down, and so they had to move, I guess they moved like my patella or like my kneecap or something out of the way to try and put that rod down, and so now my quad muscles don't work at all. They won't fire. After surgery, I mean, I was on the morphine. So it was okay for the first day, and then the next day they changed me to Percocet, and I woke up that morning in the hospital and the morphine was gone, and I was supposed to switch to Percocet, and they hadn't given me my medicine, and I was just waiting there and waiting there and waiting there for like 4 hours or something, and it just got to the point where it was unbearable, and I just started crying because I kept asking for the nurse, and I kept saying, I need to get something for this pain, because it started hurting really, really bad. Just all over my whole leg, everywhere, not just one specific
Within
spot.
days of returning home from Calgary, Noelle began daily visits to the offices of physical therapist Brent Butler. The sessions started innocently enough, with simple exercises designed to bring range of motion back to her leg. But Noelle kept pushing, and less than 2 weeks after the accident, she's able to simulate walking.
This is our goal. If we can get you to walk just featherweight, normal, I'll see you're already 100% of the other day, so that's without even warming up. So.
See, I think the day off was good. No. Yay, how's it going? Good, I'm walking.
Pretty good for 2 weeks.
Isn't that awesome? Like the flexibility is like 100% better.
Okay, let's measure your bend and then also work on your dorsal.
Okay. See, I told you it was going to be good.
Her daily sessions consist of stretching, riding the stationary bike, using the Aquasizer, and lifting weights. Most physical therapists won't even see a patient with Noelle's injury until 6 weeks after surgery. Brent knows Noelle wants to be pushed, and she'll do plenty of pushing herself.
Do you think it would be okay for me just like, not like right now, but like maybe in like 2 weeks just to go down on my sled? Not running on it, not walking on it, just to lay down on my sled and to go down?
Yes, Kimball. You know, they could make a shell for you. You could get somebody.
Like that hard cast?
Or not Bowden, but Northwest Orthotics.
Yeah.
Could make you a plastic
casting, so that in case, just in case I come out on my side and I hit, because sometimes you
have to ask Kimball. Ask what he says.
Okay.
He probably won't want you would actually like to start sliding, huh?
Yeah, just because I want to get back on my sled so I don't forget. You know, like it's easy to forget.
You'd have to ask Kimball. And if they did that,
to not even like run or anything, to just lay down and have someone just tap me off and have somebody at the end to I could even get back on my crutches. That'd be hilarious. I'm like sliding and I get off and they like, have crutches.
I want to have a shell made for you.
I'm just glad every day it's getting better. I'd love to get back on my sled. You know, like at first I'm like, okay, maybe like the 1st of December I'll get back on my sled, and then it was like, okay, maybe over Thanksgiving, and now I'm like, maybe the week before Thanksgiving, you know, and then with you talking about you going up to Park City this Friday, I'm like, maybe I'll just take a run. I know, not tomorrow, but maybe next week, or you know, it's feeling good. Like if somebody just pushed me off.
Yeah, but remember what you have to do with your legs.
It's Thursday, November 10th, and Noelle's week has already been filled with emotion. Just a couple of days ago, she walked without crutches for the first time. Although it was awkward and only for a short distance, it's another positive sign in her recovery. Yet that progress is tempered by the fact that Noelle's teammates competed in the season's first World Cup event yesterday. It was held in Calgary, site of the accident, and Noelle was on the mind of many people. Her yellow leader's jersey was hung in the start house, a memorial of sorts to her status as the world's best. Tour officials had given the jersey to Maya Pedersen, who was second overall, and in a gesture of good sportsmanship, Maya declined to wear what she felt belonged to someone else. American Katie Eulander finished third, and Noelle kept tabs on the race from afar. Each race that Noelle misses means she's unable to accumulate individual points based on results. Those points, when accumulated throughout the season, determine which U.S. women qualify for the Olympic team. On this day, Noelle is at Brigham Young University in nearby Provo, where she'll use an underwater treadmill to work on her gait, another important step in her recovery. The underwater treadmill allows Noelle to work her muscles without the added stress of her body weight. Range of motion continues to be an important measuring stick in her recovery. With underwater cameras and real-time data, Noelle can watch her recovery and compare statistics during each visit.
I think it's amazing the progress she's made in 3 weeks. I'm not a doctor and I'm not around broken bones and injuries like this a lot, but to be walking on a treadmill and she's up walking around last night, it's amazing. We're talking to she met a girl in her therapy who's doing broke her leg the same way about 4 or 5 months ago, who's barely starting to walk with pain. You know, it still hurts, it's still walking, but definitely pain with it. And this has been 3 weeks and she's up walking and she says it feels fine, doesn't hurt at all. The only thing that hurts is the ankle that she sprained. I don't know how she did that. It's on the broken leg.
You know how I sprained it.
Okay.
He was with me.
But I still don't know how you did it. I don't know how you could manage to do it. I know how it happened.
In the middle of the night and go reach for something.
You were standing still though. You weren't even moving.
Like crouching up. I sprained it. Bottom line, I sprained my ankle.
Her broken leg ankle.
It is part of my problems right now.
Prior to the accident, Noelle's status as the gold medal favorite meant the media spotlight was shining brightly on her. NBC had included her in several pre-Olympic promotional pieces, and she was a top story in newspapers across the country. After the accident, little changed. People still wanted to talk to her, but now the added stress of recovery and uncertain prospects of returning to competition have created a constant whirlwind of tension and distraction.
Right when the accident happened, probably for the first 3 days, the phone was ringing nonstop with people and media, press, people wanting to interview and talk to her and find out what was wrong. And at first it was probably for the better because there's so much wrong information out there that, you know, everyone thought it was her left leg and everyone thought she was saving her sled, you know, which she wasn't in the process of saving her sled when she got hit. She was trying to save herself and got hit by the sled. But everyone was trying to figure out what was going on, and there were a lot of calls, and we got tagged down in the airport by the cameraman, by the news crew, which is probably a good way to get the word out, but a lot of people are trying to make us believe that she needed to be gone 24 hours a day, or the 16 hours a day to sleep the other 8, and then keep going as hard as she can the whole time. Okay, you've got 3 minutes left. No handles, okay?
Okay. What's the percent?
Unless you have to. 35? Congratulations, you've just passed the frolic. You're 50% jet and 3 miles an hour. Looking good. Okay, 10 seconds. How's it feeling? Can you get your right knee up?
After 35 minutes on the underwater treadmill, Noelle's day of rehab isn't even half over. She's leaving the BYU facility and heading back to Brent Butler's office for more physical therapy. Noelle is clearly pleased with her progress, and she's about to drop a bombshell on Brent.
No matter what?
I'm going no matter what.
Okay.
Noelle has just informed Brent that she intends to slide the following day. Stunned by the news, Brent understands there's a certain liability involved. He isn't sure this is a good idea and tells Noelle she needs to consult her surgeon, Dr. Kimball. A spirited debate takes place off camera. Noelle insists she's ready, but it's only been 3 weeks since the accident.
Go out there and what do you, other than the ankle?
It feels great. I could do it.
Understanding there's little he can do to stop her, Brent feels a sense of duty to at least make sure she's protected. They again discuss the protective brace, and he consults Dr. Kimball on the phone. It's obvious Dr. Kimball is not happy about this either.
Noelle is, with or without her permission, is going to go up and slide. Slide. In other words, on the hill. This weekend. Now, she knows, she's been on Park City, she's been doing it she hasn't fallen in 4 years, she says, but
it's the easiest track in the world.
She's going to do it. Regardless of what you and I say, I don't think it's going to happen. But my concern is we could maybe make it a little safer by getting a shell around it, an exoskeleton made for that. I'm just wondering if you're okay with that. I can't do it. But I can tell, no, who can make it is Northwest, and I can tell them a verbal order and they'll do it. If that's okay with you, or she'll wear it. I permitted her to that. And I told her, you and I have nothing to do with this, and she understands. She says, if I was going to sue somebody, I would have sued the bobsled team already.
That's why I think I could do okay pushing my sled, because I'm not full weight bearing when I'm pushing it. I'm not going to. I'm smarter than that.
You got at least 3 more weeks before you even consider that.
Well, I have 3 weeks, so I don't have to think about it until then.
7. All the way up. All the way up.
That vein hurts.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Where do I go? Up a little higher?
Yeah, that's good.
Sorry.
There's like a stupid little vein that I don't know. Yeah, that's a lot better.
Noelle is serious about testing her sled, which was damaged in the bobsled accident. She plans to slide tomorrow. The idea is just to lie down and get pushed off. It doesn't take long, however, for word to spread to the U.S. Bobsled and Skeleton Federation. An insurance inquiry for the protective brace, along with a USA Today article, tipped off Federation officials. The U.S. team surgeon, Dr. Eugene Burns, is insisting that Noelle cannot slide until he examines her. The Federation asks Utah Olympic Park to keep Noelle off the track. It's hard to determine whether the Federation is trying to protect itself, Noelle, or both. With a little help, Noelle soon figures out a way to slide. Less than a week later, against the advice of doctors, Noelle unilaterally decides to test her sled. In order to gain access to the track, she needs someone to sign a waiver. Her coach, Tim Nardiello, delivers the signature, and she heads to Utah Olympic Park with her family. The weather has finally turned cold, and it's been snowing in Park City. Yet on this night, the skies are clear. An America's Cup 4-man bobsled competition is underway, but Noelle's still planning to slide. The irony, though, is that Noelle will be sandwiched in between bobsled runs, the same sort of lunacy that caused the accident in the first place. But her desperation to slide makes this an afterthought. Only a handful of people are aware she's sliding tonight, and she decides to don a black wig to mask her blonde hair. Shortly after the men's bobsled event finishes, Noelle appears at the top of the track. Noelle saunters down the start and loads with ease. At the bottom of the track, she could be heard screaming with excitement. She takes one more run this night, and the smile can't be wiped from her face.
It was awesome. It was so fun. The push, like I only took like 6 or 7 steps and tried to jump on, and it was really like not strong at all, but at least I pushed. So I pushed like 6 or 7 steps, jumped on, and at first I thought I was gonna step on my sled and like go over it, and I thought that'd be too dangerous, so I just got on my sled. It was good. It was so fun. My first time down, it was so much better than my first time ever going down. It was like 10 times better. It was 10 times funner, and it was just really exciting. Yes, hello.
How did your leg feel?
My leg kind of hurt. On my second run because I went down through one of the curves. I think it was curve 4 I went down, and I thought I was gonna come out and hit that wall. So I put my right foot out because I forgot that my leg was broken. And I dropped my toe down and it caught my foot, and all of a sudden I felt the pain, and I was like, oh great, and I hurried and put my foot back together, and then after that it was okay, and it feels fine now, but it was just like just not expected. So it feels okay now though. I'm walking on it and I'm doing okay. Hello, my name is Maria Kovach. I'm from Russia. It's good. Nice job.
Oh, it's a little self-confidence booster, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a big time self-confidence booster.
While Noelle was enjoying her return to sliding, her teammates were competing in the second World Cup event of the season in Lake Placid. This time, 2 Americans placed in the top 10, with Katie Eulander once again finishing 3rd. Having 2 top 10 finishers is critical to the overall team standings. The U.S. needs to finish in the top 3 in team points to qualify 2 women for the Olympics. Although she hasn't talked much about it publicly, Noelle's planning on a December 9th return in Eagles, Austria. It's extremely optimistic since it would be barely 7 weeks since the accident. But she's already reached some important milestones, and now that Noelle knows she can slide, she plans to push her rehab harder.
So my physical therapist said that I need to be doing line dancing. I'm up for it.
On a recent media conference call, Noelle updated her status, telling reporters she's hoping to return to sliding after Thanksgiving. She has a critical doctor's appointment on November 28th. In attendance will be her local surgeon, Dr. Kimball, the U.S. team surgeon, Dr. Burns, and Brent, her physical therapist. At this appointment, she's expecting to be cleared to return to competition. The race against the clock is now accelerated, as Olympic team rosters must be submitted by January 16th. If she can return by December 9th, that gives her 3 races to gain important points for herself and the team. Okay. Today, she's at Brent's office for some light work and will cross the alleyway to Utah Valley Medical Center for more tests.
See ya. Rest that knee, get that swelling down. Ice and elevation. Rest, ice, compression, elevation. Yes. Eat some rice. Ciao. I have never done it on this leg yet.
She'll be using a Cybex machine to measure muscle strength in her legs. First, she'll use her left leg to set a benchmark, then her injured right leg will be tested. The results could determine whether she'll be cleared on the 28th.
Yeah, that feels better. Okay. It's not right now. 5 all out.
Go ahead and pull back. 5 all out. This is the test. Go.
Go, 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 go. Go, 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 go,
go, go. On this leg, too. Pull back hard, pull back hard.
Go, 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 go. We gotta get a true test.
Pull back hard.
Go, 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 go.
Push, 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 push. There you go. Pull back hard. Last one.
Hard, 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 hard.
I guess there's one more. Good. Keep going, keep going, keep going. One more, one more.
Up, 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 up.
Go ahead and relax.
It's like digging into me. That. Stop.
What's he doing?
I can't get out. How many more? How many more?
That's it.
Okay.
Head rides down a little bit now. You feel all right?
Yeah, until you scare me in the middle of it.
Sorry. Good. Good. Let it run. Stand up.
I'm trying not to.
You're fine. You're doing great. It's great.
Which one is my right and left?
It's 14%.
You're already 85% normal.
Nice. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
And then your hamstrings. See, your hamstrings, you're 92%.
That's awesome.
Hamstrings don't lose much from an injury. You can see how close you are. So
Yeah.
That's great.
That's so cool.
A little lower, which we expect.
Okay, so this blue one is my left leg, and this red one's my right leg. And wow.
This also shows another thing. It shows that you have confidence. You don't lack any confidence when you're kicking up.
Look at this.
The bone chip's gone.
Yeah. Cool, huh?
Yeah.
So that's just from Saturday.
See this cloud here?
Yep.
That's the callus forming it.
It's cool, huh?
Yeah.
It's really good, and the fibula's almost good to go.
Yeah. Imagine that.
I know.
You're gonna make it.
Alrighty. Just to let you slide.
Yeah, definitely, so I can get back on it. And it would be Tuesday, so if they approve me Monday, because the track is closed on Monday, I could do the doctor's appointment and then come over here for physical therapy on Monday.
The tests go better than expected. Noelle has regained nearly 85% of her leg strength in just 5 weeks. Her recovery continues to amaze everyone. She's now armed with some great ammunition for Monday's showdown with Dr. Kimball and Dr. Burns.
Down by my ankle, just depends on how much I'm on it for the day. Like it's not so much sore as it is like achy. Like it gets kind of achy.
So she's only got a 14% deficit right there.
Cool.
Now look at her work. See, it's even higher than the other side on these other things. And these are different speeds. So at different speeds, you know, the higher she gets, look at that. The higher speed, she's even better than her other side for right now.
Cool.
Which is when you consider 4 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
She couldn't I'd sit her over the edge of the table and she couldn't take a full extension. Remember that?
Yes, I do.
4 weeks.
Wow, it seems so much longer.
I know.
I can't believe it's only, it's 5 weeks?
It's been 5 weeks. What's today? Say Wednesday? It's 5 weeks today. It's my week-iversary. Every week's my week-iversary.
Good.
A lot to be grateful for this Thanksgiving. Yep. Gosh, I hope it's Tim. I don't know if it is. Hello? Hey! Have you talked to anybody yet? Okay, so I'm cleared. Yep. Yeah, and it was kind of frustrating because, well, anyway, there were 2 doctors there, my doctor, Dr. Burns, and then Brent, my physical therapist, and they were all there talking everything. The bone growth looks really good. Everything looks great. But so Dr. Kimball, my doctor here, is like, you know, if you...
At 8 a.m. this morning, Noelle met with Doctors Kimball and Burns. Brandon Jansen were also there. The evaluation took less than an hour, and the conclusion was exactly what she was hoping for.
It seems that most people concur that she could likely safely at least compete now and see how far she can push herself and compete effectively and safely. Noelle's a pretty phenomenal individual in the sense that I don't know if many people would have tried to push and come back to the extent that she has.
Yeah, go for it. Pay for it. Go get it. I'm ready to come. Cool, huh? It's exciting. I'm so excited to get there. So it looks great, though. I can't wait to see you either. Yay! What a day. Tim was really excited, though. He's really happy. You could tell. He's like, oh, that's really good. And he's going to call one of our managers to get a plane ticket there as soon as possible, hopefully on Wednesday. So I'll slide tomorrow and then fly out on Wednesday. So I'll be good. When I woke up this morning, like I couldn't sleep last night because I knew that today meant a lot as to whether, you know, what my future would hold for the next couple months. So I couldn't sleep that well, and so by the time I went to bed it was like 3 in the morning and I had to get up like at 6. So when I first woke up I just wanted to shut the alarm clock off, and then I remembered that I had that doctor's appointment. I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's today. I'm really excited to go compete. At the same time I've been like, there have been times when I've just been like really nervous and like really worried, like, do I have it still? You know, last year I was really good, and do I still have it this year? And am I still going to be competitive? And are people still going to expect me to win? And it was really hard actually, like the first couple weeks of this whole injury thing. The first couple weeks actually weren't the hardest, but it was after the first race, because while they were practicing it was like, okay, yeah, no, that's fine, you know, I have a broken leg, I'm just going to deal with it and everything. But then after they started like competing and everything, it was really actually really hard on me, because I just
the next 48 hours would be very trying for Noelle. Before allowing her to return to competition, the Federation wants her to sign a waiver absolving them of responsibility in case she re-injures herself. But the language in the document doesn't sit well with her agent. She's planning to practice at Utah Olympic Park on Tuesday and leave Wednesday for Austria to join her teammates. Throngs of media are planning to attend her practice, but just after noon on Tuesday, the practice runs are called off. Parties for both sides are still working on the language of the waiver. The negotiating spills into Wednesday, forcing Noelle to cancel her flight to Europe. The Federation is insisting the paperwork be signed before she can return to active status.
It's about 2 o'clock on a Sunday, it's just past AM. On his mind is what he can say, it's the best that he can stand. Said he don't know what he's doing, that he just can't last. All that he's throwing is a chance at his best. Said I know I'll be fine where I stand, and I haven't become.
But it was like so swollen last night because I hadn't packed anything for my trip yet. I probably should have. But then I was up all night packing and everything, and so my leg was just swollen. Now I'm going on like a 14-hour flight. That's not going to help.
Many years have passed, and he thinks that he has tried all that he's seeing, and he's a victim of his pride. He said, son, I want to thank you for the times you gave to me. I'll make this up to you, just wait and see. And said, I know I'll be fine where I stand, and I haven't become only a man. Yeah, this I know. Well, I hope you know.
Noelle arrived in Eagles, Austria on December 2nd and joined teammates Katie Eulander, Katie Kaczynski, Courtney Yamada, and Tristan Gale. Since only 4 women can compete, the Federation decides Noelle will replace Tristan in the December 9th race. Noelle has been taking training runs and her push times are getting better, yet her down times are not competitive for a medal. She won gold on this track a year ago, but having missed 7 weeks of practice and competition isn't helping matters. The day before the race, competitors get 1 training run. Her start times continue to improve, and she runs with no noticeable limp.
passa il traguardo con 56,61. 56,61 die Laufzeit für Zanoletti.
Neben der vielen deutschen Studenten an Österreichs Universitäten in manchen Studienfächern wird die Hälfte der Plätze von deutschen Studenten.
Track is clear for Pickers Pace, Noel.
David Kehrer sagt die neue deutsche Bildungsministerin Annette Scharan.
I went down the track today and we only got one run, and it was my best push here yet, so that was really good. I'm only like 0.3 off the top pushers, so that's really good, but I'm having troubles in one of the curves, and my head, like I watch video and my head is like a mile high and my form is horrible and I just don't feel like myself on the sled, and they say it'll come with time. I don't feel like I have time, but I guess I do. I don't know what I expected. I guess I was just excited and nervous and all of the above. I don't know, really happy to be here, but I couldn't sleep at all on the plane, and then when I got here, Greg and Leanne were there to pick me up in the airport in Munich, and I was just so excited to be here, and I was really like out of it. Like I didn't feel like I fit in yet, and I still kind of don't. Just that everybody's been in their mode for the past, 6 weeks or 7 weeks, however long I've been hurt, and they've been doing their thing every single day, and here I come, and they've got their thing going, and I just felt really out of place. I guess I've just had way too many expectations of myself, and I know everybody else has, like just really high expectations. Oh, she's back, her push isn't that bad. First of all, everybody's like looking out the window and like looking at my leg and like, are you okay? Are you okay? You shouldn't be here yet. And I'm like, no, I'm fine, I'm okay. So yeah, the first day I went out to slide, and I just thought that I'd feel it again, like I'd be okay on my sled, and the only thing that would be a deficit was my push. I'm like, okay, I'm pushing like 3 or 4 tenths slower than what I did before, but that'll give me 3 or 4 tenths at the bottom, so I should be fine. And when I came back after my first run, I was 1.5 seconds behind everybody, and I was like, oh, like what's going on? And I was like, I just wanted to cry. I don't know, I guess it's kind of hard just because, as weird as this may sound, and I've only shared it with maybe 2 other people, but like I won the World Cup, World Cup champion and everything, but all summer long, since then, I've never felt like it. Like I've never felt like I'm the best in the world. When people are like, oh, you're the best in the world at skeleton, I'm like, no, I took a 9th place here and I took a 2nd place there. Like I'm not the best in the world, So going into Lake Placid, going into the first team trials race, I still had those doubts, and it's hard. Like it's hard to get rid of those things, and you have to force yourself, and you have to figure out how to get rid of them and things like that. And so I was working on that when this all happened. So that I think it just kind of set me back even farther a step, to that, being unsure of myself. It's just everything, my leg. Even if I don't think I'm thinking about my leg, like when I'm pushing, I can feel the little gallop, like my leg's lagging behind. I'm like, oh yeah, my leg's broken. I get on my sled and I'm like, okay, now I need to focus on what I need to get down. And at the beginning, like when I first came back to sliding, I could tell I was just like maybe a couple tenths off in every steer. Just like every steer was I was just a little slow, a little behind. And so I was coming up on the curves and coming out on the curves. And now it's starting to catch up a little bit. I'm starting to relax a little more, but I just feel like I'm running out of time. And I have to just let myself just go for tomorrow. Coming back to compete has been so much harder than actually breaking my leg. It's just been, I don't know, it's been a lot harder than actually just breaking my leg, going through physical therapy every day. That was easy. Like, that really was. That was easy. I knew what I had to do, and I knew what it would take to come back. I mean, I didn't even know if I'd come back. You take it a day at a time, and when doctors are like, wow, you look good, then you're like, okay, I can look better tomorrow. But when you're coming back to this and all the expectations and seeing people looking at you and you're still the World Cup champion, and people are still trying to look at your lines, and you look like crap, there's all these things, and it's just, I don't know.
While frustration is finally setting in, Noelle appears relaxed and confident on race day. Although her practice times weren't good enough for a podium finish, she heads into the race knowing she won gold here last year.
Commercial break, first heat. Bitte einen LKW in den Auslauf. Hinauftrag für den Auftransport. Bitte einen LKW in den Auslauf. Danke.
She will start 22nd in a field of 32. Only the top 20 finishers get a second run. Her coaches Greg Sand and Tim Nardiello have a pre-race ritual of eating chocolate. Her teammates are constantly teasing Noelle that her speed and success stems from her love of chocolate.
Wenn ich das so sagen darf, nämlich Katie Julender aus den Vereinigten Staaten von Amerikas Breckenridge in Colorado von der bekannten Wintersportdestination.
Noelle's teammates all start in front of her in Heat 1. And as darkness begins to descend on the track, the reigning World Cup champion steps to the line for her first run of the season.
Nächste Zwischenzeit nach dem Kreis. Oh, da bieten sie am letzten Eck oben den Kreis und dann stürzt es auf. Die vorerst kommt, dann kam ich ein falsches Insert. Also die.
Flat on the bottom, sister. There you go. Good. Your leg all right?
Yeah, I was worried about it right here. Hi.
81 points.
Noelle's push time is satisfactory, but her downtime in Heat 1 isn't good. She barely makes the cut for Heat 2 by finishing 20th. In between runs, she calls her family. While she puts on a brave front, Noelle is deeply disappointed in her results. She's hoping to move up in the standings in her final run of the day.
Hi.
Ebenfalls Kanada, also die Kanadierin Mannschaft, die mit Abstand die stärkste Nation, 3 Athletinnen aus Kanada auf den Plätzen innerhalb der Top 6. Auf 47 vor die Britin Ellen Williams.
38, a whole milk bar.
Auf sie haben nur einen unwesentlichen Rückstand. Und ganz genau der Rückstand 5 Punkte.
If you will turn your back, I'll bleed or I'll live alone. Tell me here, don't tell me here. Tell me here, don't tell me here. I only feel alive when I'm about to die, and I'll see it in your eyes. I only feel alive when I'm about to die, and I'll see it in your eyes.
It doesn't happen. Noelle's second push stay in 20th. Victory on its own, Noelle's expectations are much higher.
I don't want to cry. Here. It's good. I was really happy with my first run. It was really good. I mean, it wasn't really good. It's not me on my sled, but it's getting there. Like every run that I take, I'm feeling more comfortable in my sled, and I'm feeling a little bit faster and a little more comfortable. My push, I was really happy with my push on my first run, 581. That was like a tenth faster than what I've done in practice, so I was really happy about that. Had to take a little bit of Tylenol before, but.
Up is Sigolda Latvia. Discussions with her coaches about the condition of her sled, which was broken by the bobsled, Noelle decides to try it could be a recipe for disaster. The sleds are customized for the athlete's height, weight, and torso length. But at this point, she has nothing to lose.
Finally, I got up the nerves to just take it down, and my times were like a bunch faster. Like it was so much better. And I was like, right when I came out of the groove, I knew that the sled was different, and I knew it could because I could steer it where I wanted it to go. My sled was just like hitting walls for no reason.
Caleb allows Noelle to borrow his sled the rest of the week, and it pays off on race day with a top 10 finish.
But after my second run, I ended up in 8th place. And after I got done with my second run, Melissa Hollingsworth came up to me and she's like, you know what? After my first run, I came up and I threw down my helmet and I said, I can't believe I just got beat by a girl with a broken leg. And I was like, haha, that's funny. So it was really fun. It was kind of a bittersweet though, because I was the top U.S. slider, which was really cool, but being the top U.S. slider meant that we didn't have that much team points. So Katie Eulander ended up 10th, so I was 8th, she was 10th, and that was our team points. And so it dropped us to 4th place, so the Germans and the Swiss are ahead of us now. So if it stays, then I don't get to go to Olympics.
So tell me that your mind is set, but could you have a second thought for me? Take everything that you can see and send it back above when you are so light.
The Sigolda experiment has suddenly breathed new life into Noelle's Olympic dreams. After finishing 8th, the top spot for an American in that race, her family begins the mad scramble to raise $5,000 for a new sled and have it built in time for the Christmas break. Thanks to a generous donor, Utah sled maker Randy Parker delivers a new ride just in time for holiday training in Park City. Noelle's first few slides don't feel comfortable, yet her times are improving greatly. Parker continues to tweak the sled to suit Noelle's driving, and before long, she's finding a groove. As Noelle's teammates took to the track, Jansen is sporting spikes and knee pads. In a calculated effort to save her legs for competition, Jansen is pushing her off the start block.
Will you prove to everyone to shoot me down in front of two as a crowd? I take it that you ain't all that, so don't feel bad 'cause green was never my color. Down with my fingers till they bled today. You take my money.
On my old sled, I steer with my shoulders mostly. And on this new sled, I have to steer with my knees, which is completely opposite of my shoulders. So not only am I having to I have a new helmet, I have a new sled, I have I have everything, my leg, everything that it could be different is different for this year coming into the Olympics. And it's just, I don't know, I guess it's just teaching me how to not worry about the little things. It's just teaching me to focus on what's big and what matters, because I can't get mental about it. I can't be paranoid.
Ready?
Yeah.
The holiday break has been good for Noelle physically and mentally. She has been doing media appearances that range from local print and television to The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. Her amazing return to competition and steadily improving results are once again fueling speculation that she'll be a top contender in the Olympics. But in this sport, in this year, nothing goes according to plan. A report in the New York Times has divided the team. Allegations have surfaced against coach Tim Nardiello. The report says he sexually harassed female athletes. Noelle, along with world #1 Zach Lund, are staunch defenders of their coach. Some athletes are sitting on the sideline, while others, including 2002 gold medalist Tristan Gale, are among the accusers. An already fragile team chemistry has reached its breaking point. Nardiello is placed on administrative leave while the federation investigates.
It's just been crazy, and for the mentality of our team, it's just being torn up. Like, everybody is just being so, it's just tearing our team apart. I mean, you can just see it. It's not getting better. Everything, something comes up, and you know, it just keeps piling on. And I don't know, I read an email from one of the people from the federation just this past week, and it said, "We are not united, we are not a team, but our athletes are hanging in there and making us proud." And that's just going to be one more trial. It's just going to be one more thing that we all have to overcome mentally. And going into the Olympics, you want to be your best, and you want to be in top shape, and you want to be ready to perform, and all you want to focus on is competing. You don't want to have to focus on all these little distractions off to the sides, and I feel like we just have so many little distractions, you know, so. Well, who's mentally, you know, the Olympics are also about who is mentally toughest. It's not just about who is the best at their sport.
Within days, Noelle and her teammates will be leaving for Germany to compete in the biggest race of the season. But they won't have head coach Tim Nardiello around to advise them. He's just been suspended. They need a dominant performance to gain that second Olympic spot, and while they don't know it now, things are about to get even worse.
More than vain or right words, even more than what you've heard, I reach out to you for the last time. I can learn and I can see, I can bruise and I can bleed, so I shed tears on you for the last time. And it's always the same when it comes to hand, and it's a shame when it comes between friends.
I think that she's been really strong, and she's been determined, and she's been great mentally, and a great presence to have on our team, and I'm really proud that she's been able to come through. They say bad luck comes in threes, and it started out with Noelle, and we thought, you know, this is, we don't know if this is gonna have anything to do with the rest of the season, if we're gonna be able to get through it. And then the whole Tim situation came into play right before our second trip over here to Europe. And then we came over and heard about Zach's situation, and hopefully that's the last of the 30 things that are considered bad.
Days after arriving in Germany, the news breaks that Zach Lund, the world's top male slider and Noelle's best friend on tour, tested positive for a banned substance commonly found in the anti-baldness drug Propecia. The substance, called finasteride, can be used as a masking agent for steroids. Zach readily admits taking Propecia and has routinely documented his usage. Yet this season, the drug found its way onto the banned substances list. Pending a hearing, Zach has been suspended. It's the latest in a series of calamities that have stricken the skeleton team.
Yesterday, the Zach issue came up, and that was like kind of, I don't know, like it just brought some more, feelings to the table and everything. But I've always supported him, and I've known about this since he knew about it. We're really good friends, and so I just haven't said anything to anybody about it because it's not my place. But that's also another hard issue with our federation and our team right now. So it's kind of everything's just kind of tearing apart.
While Zach prepares to head home to fight his suspension, Noelle is preparing for a nearly impossible task. With the first U.S. Olympic roster spot decided by individual points and going to Katie Eulander, the women's team will need a dominating performance while hoping the Germans and Swiss falter. Interim head coach Orvie Garrett, along with assistant coaches Greg Sand and Leanne Parsley, have brought in 4 racers who have been on this track before: Noelle, Katie Eulander, Tristan Gale, and newcomer Lindsey Peterson. Coaches believe fielding the most experienced team on this track gives them the best chance of moving back into the top 3 and earning the second Olympic roster spot.
Like at first, when I first got here, when I first was thinking about going to this race over Christmas and everything, I was really stressed out. Just like, oh, if we don't get the second spot, I don't go to the Olympics. I have to do this, I have to do well. And I put all this pressure on myself. And then I hear other people, if you don't get 7th place, Courtney Mott is going to the Olympics. If you guys get a second spot, and if you don't do this, then this is going to happen. And I was just overwhelmed. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like, everything was just, it was like so much pressure. And everybody, outside sources, myself, everybody was putting pressure on me, except my family. My family's been great. But then I got here, and I just said, you know what? Forget it. I'm just going to let it go. And because me thinking about getting a place has never helped me do well. If I've ever thought, okay, I'm going to get first place, then I always get like 10th or something. Like I never do well. So I actually feel really good going into this race.
Meanwhile, Noelle seems to have her confidence back. Her training runs have been top 10, and her push times are improving. She seems as relaxed as she's ever been this season, even taking time to tango with the Brazilian bobsled team. Later in the evening, Noelle and her roommate Lindsey Peterson watched the men's skeleton team struggle in their first race without Zach and Tim. Tomorrow is an important day, and sleep will be hard to come by.
Wasted, and still I'm following. She got me chasing everything she's offering. I'm caving in. I think she's breaking me in. She's up against the wall. I'm so afraid of the fall. There's got to be something better than this. Got me down on the floor. She got me digging for more. There's got to be something better than this.
Noelle once again gets a low draw to start. Her position is 20th. But the temperature is dropping quickly, which will make the ice faster. Surprisingly, many of the tour's top sliders are posting average times in the first run, which has opened the door for Team USA. Shortly after Katie Eulander finishes 11th in Heat 1, it's time for Noelle to throw down.
Nein, der Fachmann errechnet spontan 29 Hundertstel Rückstand zu der US-Kanadierin, die sich da unten auch sehr, sehr freut. Congratulations, third place. Und sie.
Noelle's first run is her best yet. She makes few errors and finishes third after Heat 1. She's the only U.S. slider in the top 10. Visibly excited, Noelle anticipates a podium finish. Her push time is in the top half of sliders, which illustrates just how far she's come in less than 12 weeks.
Frau als Judith Huber und die ist derzeit 20. und das ist ja der entscheidende Platz, um noch in den zweiten Lauf zu kommen, aber da wäre sie nicht schön in der langen Gerade und da ist die Geschwindigkeit auch nicht hoch genug mit 103,9 Stunden.
But being the only U.S. slider in the top 10 means the team is in jeopardy of not gaining enough points. In Heat 2, Noelle and at least one other teammate will need to match that effort to keep her Olympic dreams alive.
Place 1:40.81, 1 minute 40.81. Anja Huber von Rodenburg-Berchtesgaden. Also Deutschland führt vor Diana Sator, ebenfalls Deutschland, und der Kanadierin Australierin Michelle Steele. Das ist der aktuelle Stand hier derzeit auf dem 6. Platz. Julia Eichhorn, 3 Damen stehen noch oben. Noelle Pincus-Pace aus den Vereinigten Staaten von Amerika, Kerstin Jürgens, Deutschland, und Melissa Hollingsworth Richards, die führende nach dem ersten Durchgang aus Kanada. Nun also Noelle Pincus-Pace. Kommt sie vorbei an Anja Huber, da muss sie eine saubere Fahrt aufbringen. Track is clear.
Push! 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 Push!
Ich darf das nächste Besprechung machen. Kerstin Jürgens aus Deutschland. Die Startzeit 5,39 und 5.39. Eine Hundertstel schneller als im ersten Lauf. Da habe ich es schon erwähnt. War sie sensationell gut im ersten Lauf. 17 Hundertstel. Jetzt hier Rückstand auf Anja Huber. Die Geschwindigkeit 106,8 Stunden.
Kill me as I look into your eyes. Burn me as I dance around your fire. Oh, should've let it start again. Open up the book and read it. I will show you what I can. Show you I can be the best of men.
Just right after I got done, like I haven't given myself a chance to be excited about my 5th place finish, because it was more than just my 5th place finish. It was the overall team standings. We didn't do it, and there went my shot at making the Olympics. At least my, I don't know, set spot, you know. And now I know I have to fight for it. Just like everything else that I've been having to do, it's just been a big fight, and it's starting to get old. Just ready to. Oh, I just want to go home. It's just been hard. And after I do something.
With no hope for a secured 2nd spot, the only avenue left for Noelle is to ask for an exemption. Given her status as the former World Cup champion and her improving results since returning from the injury, it seems reasonable to consider. Coaches want Noelle to stay on tour for the final 2 races of the season to prove a point that she belongs on the U.S. Olympic team.
Out a little bit. Funny, because I never thought I'd feel like this. I never thought it would be that big of a deal to me. I always thought that it would just be like, oh, if I don't make it, it's okay. And the harder that I've had to fight and the more that I've had to put into it, the harder it's becoming to not have it. You know, like, just I've put so much into it and just worked so hard for it that now it's like to have to lose it, to just, you know, I'm doing all I can, and to have there be a roadblock that I can't overcome, that I can't fight. No matter what I do, I can't do anything about it because that's just the way it is. I don't know if I can do it, and I just don't want to. I just don't see the point in it, really. People say that I just need to go prove a point by going to St. Moritz and Altenburg, but I'm sick of proving a point. They used to say, well, if you beat Ulander in this race, it'll prove a point, and I beat her. And then they're like, well, maybe if you just get a top 6, then you'll prove your point. I get a top 6, and they're like, well, maybe if you just get a podium, and it's never good enough. I just want to go home. I don't want to give up. I don't want to give up. I just want to go home to try and look into other options and try and fight this other battle now. If me being here is going to help, then I'll stay. But if it's just to prove a point, I don't know if I'll have the energy to prove that point that people expect me to prove. Sorry.
Part of the reason a lot of us get involved with the Olympic movement is to, hang on to the dream of competition at a different level. And, the Olympics, this competition, don't get me wrong, is can be cutthroat. It can be dirty, and it can be, sand in your eye and spit in your face. But at the same time, you hope that the whole mystique of the Olympic Games, that somewhere along the line somebody realizes that it's also about fair competition and the right people competing, and the best people competing at the dance. And there's not a doubt in my mind that Noelle is one of the best. No question she was the best last year. No question that if she were have the opportunity to compete in Torino, that she's a threat to be on the podium. And, I guess that being said, I hope that there's an avenue that IOC, FIBT, anybody, news media, whoever, can figure out a way to get her a special exemption. And I know it's a tough road to travel, but this kid, she deserves to be there.
Under a big umbrella, alive and anxious, crawling to my skin. I stare at the walls and wonder why I don't add up to all you wanted. And I gotta run away. I just gotta run away. And for every day I shy away, you leave me behind. And inside me, and I don't know how to get it off my chest. I feel like a painting that I can't erase, and neither can anyone. I gotta run away. I just gotta run away. And for every day I shy away, you leave me behind. And for all the words that I can't say, you leave me behind. And for every day I shy away, you leave me behind. And for all the words that I can't say, you leave me behind. Under this big umbrella, alive and anxious, you crawl under my skin. She powders her nose and she dangles her ears, shadows her eyes baby blue. She cherries her lips and she aches in her heels, swears that her lies are the truth. And I know 'cause I've been through it, I've seen it once before. Yes, I know because I lived through it, and I think I know what for. For no more songs about girls. We've already ruined enough words. So sing your chorus and birds, yeah. But no more songs about girls, no more. She straightens her hair and she pats her brassiere, sweetens the smell of Chanel. She flips her skirt while she drinks away fear.